What we want to get away from is having that viewpoint that we're over here, the bastard stepchild, that cost center to be acquired for the lowest possible price given an acceptable level of quality, a commodity. Where we really want to be part, remember we talked about earlier about mind. We are driving the customer experience. We are driving revenue. We show we have value, right? A lot of companies our content people are really good at generating value, not so good at communicating it, right? Because really, if you're saving your company hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in either lowering costs or generating revenue, at review time, you go, you know what? Just give me 10% of all the money I made the company in my raises here. I'll be happy. That's never worked, but someday it might. Okay, so we're going to continue this concept of you are part of the user experience with Stefan Gentz from Adobe Systems, our exclusive diamond sponsor. Uh-oh, ruh-roh. Let me do it. No? Okay. I can do it. Oh, no, I don't see it there. That's unfair. Okay. Hi. Hi. So, yeah, thanks for the nice introduction, Jack. I want to talk about from products to experiences and why you, as technical communicators, are part of the customer experience. And I'm very happy to be here on stage again at LavaCon, and thanks for giving me that chance, Jack. So, who's speaking? Yeah, that's me. And you can follow me on LinkedIn and follow me on Twitter and send me a classic email if you want, if you have any questions. And I want to start with a quote from our Adobe CEO, from Shantanu Narayen, the CEO of Adobe, and he said recently at a conference, people buy experiences, not products. And when you think about that, of course, we buy maybe a physical product, or maybe we buy a service or something like that. But we buy actually also the whole experience around that product. We buy the whole experience that we have as a customer when we interact with that brand. And when we look at customer experience management, and Wikipedia has a nice quote for that, in commerce, customer experience, CX, is the product of an interaction between an organization and a customer over the duration of their relationship. Oh, by the way, can you see my slides? Yeah, okay, good. But you don't see all slides, right? They just see switching? You see all the slides, it's okay. Okay, good. Sorry. So let's go a little bit through these parts of the customer experience journey. So we have the first contact. That is the first time when you make an experience with that brand, with a company. That might be in advertising at the airport when you arrive here. That might be an ad in a newspaper or a commercial on TV or whatever. This may be the first contact that you make with the brand. And then you slowly get some interest in that brand, and you start the investigation phase and start to research about the brand and about the product, until you then go into the decision phase, where you make a buying decision. And then you want to buy that, and you go to Amazon and to the web store of the company or wherever, eBay, whatever, and you make that shopping experience. And then you start using the product, and you make a user experience, and maybe something goes wrong with the product, and you stop having fun with it because it's broken or whatever, and you make a support experience. And that support experience is where we as technical communicators usually come in at the end, because the customer is going to the technical documentation and looking up how to fix the problem. So the question is, where does the customer come into contact with all, what are all the touch points where the customer comes into contact with a brand? And of course we have offline touch points. That might be the on-site customer care, that might be the shop, the local shop there. It might be the physical advertising and marketing that we face. It might be the packaging. And if you just think about packaging and go to YouTube, how many unboxing videos there are where people record how they unboxed the iPhone or whatever, and they share their experience with the product and with the brand. And I really like that. I'm a big fan of that. I watch these unboxing videos from time to time. I have to give that in. And there's the product and the service features, so physical experience with the product, and the ease of use and reliability of the product. So these are the offline touch points that we have with the product, or maybe with the service, and with the company and the brand in general. But there are also a lot of digital touch points. So search engines like Google, Yahoo, and so are a typical digital touch point where you get into contact with the company. You might see online campaigns. You might go to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Plus, probably not anymore, and make a digital connection with the company. For example, the Adobe Technical Communication site on Facebook is one digital touch point for Adobe. You go to the corporate marketing website and see all these fancy, great videos and the wonderful phrased language about the product that praises the product in the best words. And you have an experience with a customer care website, or with a help center or support portal, or however that might be called. And you have a digital experience with a digital presence of that company. And you might have a digital experience with, for example, communities like user groups, user-to-user groups, or support forums, and etc. And among all these, over all these touch points, you make multiple experiences with that brand. And the question is in the end, is that a good experience that you make, or is it a bad experience? If it's a good experience, you turn into a loyal customer. And if it's a bad experience, you just drop the company and strike it through in your list of companies that you want to buy products from. And maybe even feel a buyer's remorse and angry that you made that buying decision at the beginning. And maybe you even tell your friends or family members or so, don't buy from that company. Yeah, the support experience was terrible, and their support website is terrible, and their technical documentation is also terrible. Hopefully not. So the, customers expect to experience a consistent and satisfying, enlightening, nice brand experience throughout all these touch points, digital touch points and offline touch points. They want to have a nice experience with the marketing of the company, but they also want to have a nice experience with shopping. They will also want to have a nice experience with support when they get into contact with in a case of an emergency. And they want to have a nice community experience. So these are the expectations from the customer when it comes to customer experience. But when we as a company want to make that happen and want to make it a positive experience, we face a lot of challenges. So multiple brand touch points, offline, digital, and they all have a cumulative impact on the customer experience. And we have a very inconsistent content experience. And when we have that, we create a very fuzzy brand experience. And I will show you 1, 2 examples in a couple of minutes how inconsistent that brand experience can be for a customer. And marketing and telecom live in content silos, and they're disconnected from each other. They're disconnected content worlds, and they don't talk to each other very often, even in the companies. And they are sitting in different technology solutions and cannot communicate with each other, cannot share content with each other. And when you talk to CIOs or CSOs or CMOs, you always hear the same complaints from them. We struggle with a super cluttered IT system. We have a content management system for our technical documentation. We have a content management system for our website. We have an asset management system. We have a PIM and whatever. So they have all kinds of systems, and they're fed up with it. And they don't want to have that anymore. And they want to consolidate the whole customer experience management on one platform. And this is where Adobe comes in, because we offer exactly that. And implementing a holistic content experience or customer experience content strategy very often fails on technical challenges. So when you talk to content strategists, they often have a super great concept how they can improve that. And then they talk to the CIO and talk to the tech ops manager and whatever. And they suddenly notice, that strategy is not so easy to implement, because there are tons of systems that don't talk to each other, that are not connected with each other. So organizations today strive for an end-to-end solution that allows managing the whole customer experience in one cloud platform. So that can be, cloud platform does not necessarily mean it has to be a public cloud. It can also be a private cloud within the company. And they want to manage all the digital touchpoints and offline touchpoints, like a marketing website. They want to run their campaign management. They want to have extensive content analytics. And they want to also integrate their customer care and support portal on their online websites. And this is one part where I want to focus a little bit on in the next minutes, the customer care and support part, because that is what we as technical communicators are involved in. And let me start with a quote from James Matthewson, the head of search strategies for IBM.com. And he recently said, 74% of business-to-business customers refer to post-sale documentation as part of their purchase decision-making cycle. And imagine that. Let that sink. What does that mean for the content that you as technical communicators are producing? It means that it's a sales asset. When 74% of IBM's customers make their buying decision based on the technical content that technical communicators, technical writers produce, then suddenly the technical documentation and technical communication has a super important factor in the sales cycle. Because if the technical content is bad, or people cannot find it on the website from IBM, then they don't buy the product. Then they buy from the competition. And this is why we as technical communicators, and that's a little bit the title of my presentation here as well, we are part of that customer experience, and we are part of the sales cycle and sales process very often. So in my own words, technical communication is marketing communication, and many companies have not really understood that yet, it's a hidden sales champion. And some companies like Palo Alto Networks, they were presenting at Adobe Data World 2 weeks ago, they understood that, and they have built a really great customer support portal and support website, which looks beautiful, which is perfectly integrated in the CI and CD of the company and perfectly integrated with the website. And they understand that their technical documentation is a sales asset. It's an important factor for the companies to drive sales forward for their specific products. So technical communication and customer support have a substantial post-sales impact on brand loyalty and the willingness for long-term reinvestments of a customer. So when marketing and technical communication live in disconnected content worlds, it creates a fuzzy, and if not even a negative customer experience. Let me give you an example for that. So this is the website of CyberSource. They make security solutions, online payment and fraud detection and stuff like that. The website is looking quite nice. There were a lot of marketing people probably involved in that, creating this wonderful website. And they even have that support link on top of their website in the navigation there. I hope you can see it there, yeah. And when you go to support and download one of their technical documentations for their software solutions, you get something like that. Yeah? And that was not exactly sexy. That's not exactly what we as customers expect when we come from that beautiful looking marketing website. We don't want to get that 1994 style online help thing. I don't even want to call it technical communication. Yeah, and that's not a nice experience. That leaves me as a customer unsatisfied and leaves me frustrated because I cannot navigate it properly. I cannot bookmark stuff and all that kind of things that we want to do in the online world today. So CyberSource, of course, said, yeah, we cannot continue with that and we need to make it nicer. This is how their support center looks today. So when you go to that support link, click on it, you come to this support center, and of course it's a much nicer experience because it looks much nicer. Everything's organized in groups, like getting started, connect to CyberSource, and payment processing and transaction responsive and so on. There's a big search bar on top of the site. There's a nice picture in the background. So it's a much more pleasant, much more delighting and enchanting experience when it comes to technical communication. So corporations need to leverage the power of their technical content for marketing and sales. And to do so, they need to get their content out of these classic silos and manage them on one platform. And when corporations want to leverage the power of their technical content, content for marketing and sales, they need intelligent content, break down the silos, and manage them on one platform. Intelligent content, you have heard that term probably a lot of times on this conference already, and if you have been on previous LavaCons probably as well. Let me give you just one short slide. What you see on the left is unstructured content. It's a simple unsorted list with list items, and there are a couple of strings, text characters in them, and it has no meaning. It's just a list, a simple unsorted list. And on the right side, you see structured content, and there we have semantic elements like an address, first name, last name, street, state, county, and mobile. And you have suddenly these character strings become an explicit meaning. This is something that the power of XML offers, and that languages like Markdown or other stuff, of course, don't offer. You can give the text strings an explicit meaning. If you see that, that's another example. It's a hazard statement in DIDA, and you have an ID, you have an importance attribute, you have a translate attribute, and you have three different message panels in there. There's a platform attribute like car display with the audience driver. There's a type of hazard, slow down, and how to avoid slow down to 100 kilometers per hour, maximum to avoid accidents. So this first message panel is targeted to a car display, a head-up display in the car, and the audience is the driver. The second panel, slightly different text. This time the platform is the GPS bike computer, and the audience is the cyclist. And the third one is platform is the smartwatch, like an Apple Watch or Samsung Gear or something, and the audience is the runner. Yeah, so for the three times we have the same message, slightly different, and we can configure it wherever it's delivered, that message, and where to which audience we deliver that message. We do that by attribution and attributes like platform and audience. So this is the power that we have with DIDA, that we can attribute the content and give it a semantic meaning, and can give it can tailor the content to the delivery channel where we want to push that content to, and where we want to have it displayed, and to the audience. And there are a lot of possibilities what you can do with that. So are technical communicators and their companies ready for that? Let me give you some insights from the Adobe Worldwide Technical Communications Survey 2018. That was a worldwide online survey. 50% are already doing structured authoring, so that was a great thing to see. And 44% of the audience are doing structured authoring are doing DIDA. So there we can clearly say DIDA is the structured authoring standard for the future. And 31% of the audience doing structured authoring are planning to do DIDA. So DIDA is definitely the way to go when we want to go for structured content and we want to leverage this power. And let me give you an example what we can do there with DIDA and blending marketing and technical communication together. And I want to give you a quick example from the GoPro marketing website. And that's a beautiful website again. Looks very good. There's a nice photo, and GoPro is a super cool brand. Yeah, they have a relatively young target audience. They have cool products for very active people. It's really nice, very cool products. Not cheap. They have their price tag. But people do all kinds of cool videos with that and post them on YouTube. And it's a very young audience that is mostly mobile. They consume the content on their mobile devices, on iPhones, smartphones in general, Samsung phones. Sorry when I say Apple so often. Capture different. See life from a new perspective. Very cool company, very cool brand, very cool marketing. Let's go to their technical content. That looks like this. So when you want to download the technical documentation from GoPro for the GoPro Hero 5, you get this. This is the Getting Started guide. It's PDF. I like PDF, yes, of course. Don't misunderstand me, yeah? Everyone should do PDF, yeah? No question about that. And I can tell you, you will see some really cool stuff coming from Adobe next year when it comes to PDF. You will all be very surprised, I promise you. I've not said that. But even if you do PDF, don't do it like that. Don't do it a double-facing PDF with 2 pages printed on 1 page. And when you think of that 20-year-old surfer guy or a biker or whatever who wants to read the documentation for his GoPro Hero 5, how to exchange the battery or whatever, they don't want to look at that PDF on their smartphone. That's not a pleasant experience to read, and it's not a good customer experience. It's just a bad customer experience. So how could I do that better? This is what you here see is basically a small piece of content from that documentation, and it's authored in DIDA as a task. There's a title, there's a short description that introduces the reader what this topic is about. There's a task body with steps and commands and so on. And I've drawn in some lines that connect the visual appearance of that content with the underlying structure there. So screenshot from Adobe FrameMaker, of course. And this is what the source code of that looks like. You have the task, the title, the short description, and so on. And let's add some additional intelligence to that in a minute and publish that to a website. So instead of just publishing the PDF should be published as well, of course, but maybe in a better way than they did. But they could also publish their whole content to a nice support portal. So on the top, they have that wonderful Getting Started guide, Getting Started heading with the subtitle Charging the Battery. Then they have the first topic, Getting Started, Charging the Battery, step 1, step 2, step 3 with the illustration. And when we try to get the structure into that, we have the help page header and we have the help page content. So both are drawn from the topics and from the title of the topics in the DIDA map and then the DIDA topics. But that's not all what they can do with that. Here's an overlay of that. That's not all what they can do that. They can blend that with marketing content. And they can put marketing content right next to the technical content. So whenever a customer comes to that web page where the customer sees that technical documentation for the GoPro Hero 5, he can automatically see marketing material for the GoPro Hero 7, which is the brand new GoPro. Yeah, it has much better capabilities, it's video stabilization and so on. It's a much cooler camera and maybe has a much longer battery life. And they can place that, hey, did you know that the new GoPro Hero 7 has 2 times the battery life of the GoPro Hero 5? And maybe the customer decides, oh yeah, maybe I throw my old GoPro away and just buy a new one. And there suddenly the technical documentation becomes an entry point for the customer journey into a new sales process. And this is very interesting as an opportunity for many companies. And it does not necessarily have to be that aggressive marketing like, hey, please buy our new product. It's better than the old one that you have. It can also be something like embedded Twitter feeds or links to the community forums where people are discussing how to replace the battery or whatever. So you can put all kinds of marketing content in there. Can be community content, can be upsell or cross-selling opportunities, like when they arrive at the page how to replace the battery, you could place links to the accessory shop where people can buy additional batteries, replacement batteries, yeah? And that makes it much more easy for the customer to make that buying decision and go into that new buying cycle. So here I have a little bit more intelligence added to that task and the data topic. So here I've added the product attribute GoPro Hero 5. So with that attribution, it becomes very clear that this is explicitly a topic for the GoPro Hero 5. And whenever that product tag, product attribute with that value appears, I can place in additional marketing content, like this. Yeah, so there's the technical content on the left side and the marketing content on the right side. And which kind of marketing content is displayed there? I can use the attribution from the data topics to display that content. And that's how we merge marketing and technical content together. So by using data-based intelligent content enriched with metadata and attribution, companies can blend marketing and technical content seamlessly together and create a unified customer experience, because that is what we want to do. We want to create a unified customer experience, a consistent customer experience that is consistent throughout all the touch points that the customer has. So we can author data in Adobe FrameMaker, for example. We can author also in the web editor of XML documentation for Adobe Experience Manager. For the people who don't know that, that's the data CCMS that sits inside Adobe Experience Manager as a web content management system. It's a full cloud data CCMS. And we can manage and publish both on Adobe Experience Manager platform and, of course, in FrameMaker, and we can publish to PDF, and we can create apps for iOS or Android, CHM, EPUBs. You can pretty much deliver to any channel that you want. And to give you an idea of what that really means, I was in Amsterdam and Copenhagen in the last weeks for the Adobe Day, and we had some guy from Amplexor there, and they showed some really cool stuff. They had managed technical documentation with data in Adobe Experience Manager and had connected an augmented reality app with that. And the service engineer was standing there in front of that machine with a Microsoft HoloLens in front of his head. And he could, the parts of the machine were highlighted, and he could virtually tap them and got an instruction how to replace that part. And the steps, what to do, were pulled from data steps in Adobe Experience Manager. And he was seeing that in the HoloLens as a step-by-step instruction, and whenever he swiped, he got the next step and next step and next step. And that's a complete new experience for support engineers and service engineers when they work with machines, for example. And these kind of things become possible if you work with intelligent content, and of course when you work with Adobe products. So this is basically what our idea of it. We have the Adobe Experience Manager, and we have the marketing content on the left side, and we have the technical communication content, data-based, and may it be the TechPub manager, may it be the marketing manager. They can create these websites just by drag and drop. They can just drag some marketing content on the template. They can drag and drop some data content on the template and build a website, maybe with a structure like what we see on the right side, some marketing content on top, then the technical communication, some marketing content on the right, some tech content below that, and some marketing content at the bottom. And they can really blend and merge the technical content and the marketing content just as they like. And that gives them a complete new freedom to leverage the technical content that we as technical communicators produce. And I think that's really cool. So, and with that, I'm pretty much at the end. Just a quick teaser. I just mentioned DIDA-World. We had DIDA-World 2 weeks ago. We had about 3,300 people from all over the world joining us. It's the world's biggest DIDA online conference, and we have already opened the registration for next year. It's a free online conference. You can join it from home through Adobe Connect, like what we're using here as well. And it's www.dida-world.com. And we will again have 3 days full of presentations all around content strategy, DIDA, and so on. And it's completely free, and we have really cool people there, and really good program. And one more thing, okay? Who likes champagne? Okay. I too. I like champagne as well. So let me invite you for a small champagne toast in the area where the lunch was, where the Adobe booth is, and there Adobe invites you for a small champagne toast. Thank you.
We also have sparkling water for those who do not imbibe in alcohol. Before you leave, I want to do a quick recap. Is it interesting that we started the day with Karen McGrain speaking on, if you move your content into structured authoring, you're prepared for the next big thing, whatever that is, right? It allows you to put your content in any device, anywhere, how it's consumed. Then we ended the day saying, you are part of the content experience ecosystem. You're also part of a revenue generating machine, and you could do it with the tools you have or the tools that you can find here. So if you're not doing this, visit the exhibit hall, get demos, see how Adobe or other vendors can help you. And